Good morning if you're watching this in the morning, good afternoon if you're watching this in the afternoon, and good evening if you're watching this in the evening. Welcome to my channel Hamsavahini Vajra Astra. I'm Ohana. Today's video is going to be about Victober. Now, Victober commenced from the 1st of October 2020 and will continue till the 31st of October 2020. This challenge has been brought about and hosted by Katie from Books and Things, Lucy from Lucy Reads, and Kate from Kate Howe. Now, there are a set of 5 to 6 challenges, and today I'm going to talk about Katie's challenge, which is to read any fiction which was written during the Victorian era, which equates to our favorite modern genre. So my favorite modern genre is science fiction. So today I'm going to talk about how the term science fiction came to be coined in the Victorian era. Now, for this particular challenge, I had been reading Frankenstein's Dreams, which is a connoisseurs collection of the best Victorian science fiction literature, which has been all put together. So most of this collection, or most of the stories which are here in this collection, are adapted versions of the original stories. So the core of the stories are all given here, and what is interesting is that the underlying philosophy of the authors are all put in here through the adapted versions of this collection. So first, let me get to how the journey of the term science fiction came into being. Now, I have penned down some of my thoughts in a few pages, and I'll be referring to them from here on. Now, in the 19th century, natural history was an internationally popular recreation. Questions arose in the intellectual minds concerning space, galaxies, stars beyond our solar system, contradiction and wonder of objects which were seen under the microscope and across the telescope, the human body, fossilized seashells. The sensation was created with the aspect and the thought of man in flight, which had been almost an area which had always intrigued human speculation, and it was inflamed by the Wright brothers. As far as science goes, due to the lack of a proper institutionalized course in existence, it was the church which used to take natural history under its broad wing, and all thinking and writing was done in accordance with the Bible, the Word of God. New ways of thinking emerged, leading to new ways of discussion, and hence the term science fiction was coined, which found itself midway between science and fancy. And the term was officially coined in 1926 by Hugo Gernsback while launching his first magazine dedicated to science fiction called Amazing Science, or Amazing Stories. In 1811, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, a poet, coined the term scientist for the first time and voted for it in the British Society and Association, meaning to replace the antique term natural philosopher. So during this area, or during this period, the area of science fiction was usually termed as natural philosophy. Anything which was scientific, anything which involved research, anything which defined or intrigued the human mind of speculation and cause and effect was generally termed as natural philosophy, because nature was where man was deriving all this from. So therefore, in 1811, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, in this particular British Association meeting, for the first time coined the term scientist to such philosophers and such intriguing people who were always trying to understand nature and try to find out its history, its course, and its effect. Now, the marriage of science and literature inspired short stories, novels, drama, poet sermons, and much more, and began to be collectively known as science fiction. Science fiction encompassed Western civilization's response to new discoveries and technological innovations while becoming aware of the limitations of human morality and the sensory limitations, and strictly excluding supernatural aspects such as ghosts and spirits and magic and witchcraft, etc. So the most common themes which showed up during the dawn of this genre called science fiction was space travel, time travel, dystopian societies, destroyed ecosystems, and dangerously independent machines, which had then become an obsession. So all of this encompassed the science genre, and this is what we know from the history which has been given at the beginning of this book, Frankenstein Dreams. Now, most of the stories, as I had mentioned earlier, have an underlying philosophy. So I'm just about to share a couple of philosophies which I found underlying in the first few stories, because obviously it's a very interesting book and I really don't want to spill out the entire journey over here of the reader. Whoever tries to take up this book will definitely have a very interesting journey, and I really don't want to interfere or spill over the remarkable joy which you would definitely feel whenever you are going through the stories. Now, most of the stories are adapted versions, and as I had mentioned before. Now, the first story was, of course, about Frankenstein, which had been written by Mary Shelley. Now, the underlying philosophy, which I found here, was quite intriguing, and it focuses on the term aesthetics. Now, this story focuses on the intriguing yet diabolical concept of extreme want of aesthetics, which sometimes literally poisons the human mind with the expectation of a pleasing beauty and an ever consistent symmetry, and this blocks the human mind from accepting something which is asymmetrical and something which probably is not that pleasing to the eye. So anything which does not suit the aesthetics of human expectation, or which provides or does not provide an elevating visual experience to the onlooker, will be termed as a monster or will be termed as gross. So man is a being of intelligence, both gross and subtle, and the application of this intelligence is imperative to broadening of the human awareness, specifically if it pertains to an age of discovery and acceptance through science. Now, this is the very important underlying voice which I found in Mary Shelley's work, which was Frankenstein. And there are also other humorous stories which I found here. Now, there is another humorous story of moonbats or man-bats on the moon, and it is absolutely hilarious, and it has been written by, I'll just share that with you. Give me a moment, please. It has been written by Richard Adams Locke, and it is based on Sir John Herschel, who was an actual astronomer during that age. So there is a lot of sarcasm which is blended with blunt horror for the discovery of extraterrestrial life forms just like that on Earth, with a few differences on the moon through a telescope. And although the fact and the fiction are at the two opposite poles, the story is undeniably very creative. There are other stories as well which have underlying philosophies, and what I really loved about this book is that it was a voice which was running throughout for man to expand his awareness and to use his sense of logic and his sense of purpose to find or to delve more into the field of science. So I really loved this book. And although I'm not through it completely, probably by the end of this month I will be through it, and I would suggest anybody who's very interested in reading science fiction should read the original works. There are some stories which do pertain to psychic mysticism as well, which really was very intriguing. So there was a story over here which did involve the activism of psychic mysticism and contact with the other world and experimenting with the dead. So that aspect, which gives a very dark aspect of science, is also explored very well. So these are some of my thoughts after reading Frankenstein Dreams, or till the place where I've read Frankenstein Dreams so far, and I would suggest to definitely pick up this book and read it in case if you are interested in science fiction. Now, before I conclude this video, I would like to also mention that I will not be here on BookTube from the mid of the last week of October till the end of the third week of November, because it's festival time here, and I will definitely be away for them. So I will be doing a wrap up of Victober after I come back in November. So I have mentioned this to one of the hosts, but not all of them. So I'm mentioning this here in this video. And with this, I would like to conclude this video. As you can see, I was in a trying or attempting to be in a Victorian ensemble with my bonnet and whatever Victorian-esque clothing that I could best gather. So I know it is not exactly Victorian or even close to it, but it is probably the best way to celebrate and evoke the spirit of the Victorian era. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and with this I would wish you a very good reading week ahead, and Namaste.